Welcome to the doctoral graduation ceremony of Stellenbosch University. Molweni Omekelikele. Middag dames en here, hartlik welkom aan elkeen van u by hierdie doktorale gradeplegtigheid van die Universiteit Stellenbosch. Vanweë die nasionale COVID-19 regulasies en die universiteit se gesondheids- en veiligheidsprotokolle sal hierdie geleentheid bietjie anders daaruit sien as ons gewone gradeplegtighede. Due to COVID-19, regulations and our own protocols for this event, by necessity, has to be somewhat different from our regular ceremonies. Therefore, please take note of the following. All graduates and guests have been assigned unique seat numbers. Please do not change seats as the seating record will be used in case any potential contact tracing becomes necessary. Only the essential staff members required to constitute a congregation will be present at this event. Thank you for understanding that we had to limit the number of guests you could invite. Rest assured that this hall is thoroughly cleaned and disinfected before and after each ceremony. The wearing of a mask is mandatory for both graduates and guests for the full duration of the ceremony, including when graduates cross the stage. Please maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from others at all times. No food may be brought into or consumed in this hall, only water is permitted during the event. Now, to the ceremony itself. We will not be singing the national anthem as is our custom, but instead listen to an instrumental version of it directly after the procession has entered the hall. When we get to the awarding of degrees, graduates will be called up to cross the stage, but in order to comply with COVID-19 regulations, there will be no handshaking by the presiding officer or hooting by the registrar. Instead, please walk up to the presiding officer, exchange nods, and then turn around for photographs and acknowledgement from the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, you are also welcome to take photographs during the event, but please switch off the sound and flash first. Please keep your cell phone on silent for the duration of the ceremony. At the conclusion of the ceremony, once the procession has left, we respectfully request that you exit the hall and the building swiftly so that cleaning and sanitizing with a view to the next ceremony may commence as soon as possible. Kindly ensure that you take along any waste items such as water bottles, tissues, etc. when you exit the venue and dispose of these safely in bins outside. Please do not congregate in the foyer for own photographs. The official photographers have set up a designated area across the foyer. Graduates and their family and friends are welcome to make use of this service. Or you can exit the building and capture the moment outside with the beautiful Victoria Street as backdrop. You will also find a pop-up Martie shop in front of the building where you can purchase SU-branded items. Baie dankie vir u geduld met die talle aanwysings, dames en here, maar dit is egter tot ons almal se belang. This graduation ceremony can be followed via live streaming from anywhere in the world. In case you were not aware of this, you are welcome to share the following URL with family and friends: www.sun.ac.za/streaming. Please note that load shedding may interrupt internet connectivity and therefore also live streaming, but you will still be able to access a recording of the event from tomorrow on YouTube via our streaming page. Load shedding will, however, not end this ceremony itself. We have a generator on standby, so if a power outage should occur, please remain seated while we switch over to emergency power. You are welcome to share your graduation experiences on social media with the hashtag SUGrad. Just remember to put your phone on silent, please. Dames en here, ons is nou bykans gereed om met die plegtigheid te begin. Ons vra dat u sal opstaan vir die akademiese prosesie en sal bly staan tot nadat ons na die nasionale lied geluister het. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession and remain standing until after we have listened to the national anthem. Thank you, baie dankie.
Dames en here, goeiemôre. Ons gaan nie vanweë COVID die nasionale lied sing nie. We're not going to sing the national anthem because of the pandemic, but we will start by listening to an instrumental version. Ons begin met 'n instrumentale weergawe van die nasionale lied. Sal jy asseblief hier sitplekke inneem? Please be seated. En nou is dit vir my 'n genoeg om kragtens die magte in my gesetel te verklaar dat hierdie kongregasie van die Universiteit Stellenbosch behoorlik saamgestel is. It's a great delight for me to exercise my powers as Chancellor and to declare that this congregation of the University of Stellenbosch has been duly constituted. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in defiance of a pandemic. Ons is hier ten spyte van die risiko's van besmetting en van siekte. And our being here is itself a triumph and a joy. We rejoice in what we are doing this morning and we are grateful for it. Maar terselfdertyd dink ons aan die geweldige verliese wat ons land gelei het oor die afgelope jaar. The official death toll from COVID is just over 51,000, but good estimates by medical epidemiologists are that we've lost maybe 3 times that number in the past year. It's a massive death toll. And many of our families and loved ones have been affected by illness. My own sister fell ill last year. Fortunately, she recovered well, much to our relief. And I think each of you have had experiences like that. So let's take a moment. Kom ons neem net 'n oomblik om sommer daar waar jy sit vir 'n gewyde oomblik te dink aan hoekom ons hier is, wat ons hier gebring het. Just a devotional moment to reflect on what has brought us here and to commemorate those who have suffered in this epidemic and who have suffered particularly losses. Just a few moments. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nou is dit vir my nog 'n genoeg om vir u baie welkom te heet by die tweede van hierdie seisoen van gradeplegtighede. This is the second of 9 graduation ceremonies, and in addition to those of us who very safely distanced are here this morning, we have an online streaming service, and we welcome the many hundreds and perhaps thousands of people who are joining us at the virtual distance. In line with Stellenbosch's determined policy of proud and inclusive multilingualism, veeltaligheid, we will now listen to Professor Mawande Dlali from the Department of African Languages at Stellenbosch, who will also welcome us all in isiXhosa. Inkosi Mfundisi. Thank you, Professor. Baie dankie, Professor. Before we get on to the main business, I want to be a bit personal to say what a great joy it is for me to be here today. It was a great debate at the university last year. Groot debat, laat verlede jaar, kan ons enigstens voortgaan met gradeplegtighede. Could we proceed at all in the light of the preceding months of constriction in our national life and the academic life? And the rector, who's here, Professor Wim de Villiers, the registrar, who is Dr. Renel Retief, and their team decided that we would go ahead with PhDs and prize winners only. So it's a momentous event and a great joy for us to welcome each of you. You represent the very peak, die toppunt van akademiese prestasie, the very peak of academic attainment. And we really are very proud and delighted that you are sitting here this morning. I want to tell you a secret. I've got lots of degrees. You don't have to have lots of degrees as a chancellor, but sometimes does it help, Rector? Yeah, it helps a bit. You don't have to, though. But I don't have a PhD. So I'm really in awe of each of you, because I know from loved ones in my circle what extraordinary exertion, focus, and sometimes desperation it takes. Who felt desperation? Ja, u het. U was oorstuur. Ja, u was oorstuur. To the point of not even knowing if you'd do it. So we are really proud that you are here today. And Stellenbosch's academic output has grown in ways that I simply want to mention very briefly to you. Last year, despite the difficulties of the pandemic, we managed to finalize, graduate, and confer 9,079 degrees, certificates, and diplomas. A considerable achievement. That is especially remarkable because the total is just a fraction less than 1% fewer people than for the previous year when we didn't have the pandemic. I think it speaks volumes, not just for the students, but for the resilience of the university itself, the determination that this output would proceed, and of course, for the managerial skill of Professor William de Villiers and his team. Particular congratulations to the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Dean, and here's Professor Koopman as well. We congratulate you, Mr. Dean, very, very heartily. When it comes to doctoral degrees, who we have preferred in these virtual and socially distant in-person proceedings, the university's tally across all faculties for last year was 269 PhDs. That's one of the highest figures of all universities in South Africa. So we are really proud of you. Ons is geweldig trots op u bereiking, op u prestasie, op die vasberadenheid en harde werk en deursettingsvermoë, the determination and persistence that have brought you here this morning. I have no doubt that you will use the knowledge which is going to be displayed in the thesis titles which we will be hearing shortly to make South Africa, our subcontinent, our continent and the world a better place. Those hybrid ceremonies are a reminder of the extent of the pandemic. This isn't our democracy's first challenging pandemic of illness and death. We had one as we became a democracy 27 years ago. Next month it will be 27 years. The first one was AIDS, and it affected our country massively more devastatingly than COVID did, but at the same time, it wasn't as infectious as COVID, so the risks and the measures had to be adjusted. I myself contracted HIV when I was in my 30s, and I faced death. I was very, very ill after 12 years, but because of antiretroviral treatment, which I started nearly 24 years ago, I've been very, very well ever since. And that's a reminder to us that we follow science and we follow medical epidemiology. We follow the experts. We don't try to second guess the experts. En dit is een van die goeie beleidsstukke wat ons regering gevolg het. President Ramaphosa and his government has done the right thing by following science. I've criticized President Ramaphosa in public and his government, want ek dink dat die aanslag van die veiligheidsmagte, die polisie en die weermag was verskriklik erg. I think that the violence perpetrated against our people was a terrible mistake. You do not manage a public health epidemic by beating people, by terrorizing them, by murdering some of them, and by driving them back into their houses. It's not a mistake unique to our country. As jy gekyk het wat gebeur het op Clapham Common, 'n paar weke terug, where the women were congregating to commemorate the terrible death of that young lady. The police beat up those women as well in the United Kingdom. So it's not anything special to ourselves, but nevertheless we have to take a stand against that. I'm now about to confer your doctorates, but I'm keeping you waiting for a few minutes more. And I appreciate your patience. And I'm going to keep you a moment more because of people very special to your presence here today, your supervisors. Would all the supervisors please stand up? Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Who is grateful to their supervisors? Who wanted to kill their supervisors? It's a tough job. We have at Stellenbosch a list of 9 things that supervisors have to do. I won't go through all those lists. It's actually 10. I'm not going to go to them all, but they deserve acknowledgement. And it's a tough job it's the job of knowledge nurturance, knowledge and skills and methodological nurturance that you pass on. And you will do so in due course. You will pass on to others the skills and the focus and the methods that you have applied to be here. And we honor you, our Stellenbosch faculty, for achieving this today. So now, I don't think I actually award the degrees. I do the degrees later. But I'll hand over to the Dean now. Mr. Dean, thank you very much.
Meneer die kanselier, ek versoek u om die graad dokter in die wysbegeerte in die fakulteit lettere en sosiale wetenskappe aan die kandidaate wat ek aan u voorstel te verleen. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer on the candidates whom I'll present you the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. Ntobeko Bambeni, with dissertation, The Role of Social Workers in Facilitating Financial Capabilities Development of Vulnerable Households, with supervision provided by Professor Lambert Engelbrecht.
Excuse me. I'm going to ask each of you to come and enjoy the moment. I was asked to sit down in December because otherwise I'd tower over you. So I'll remain seated, but enjoy the moment. You've worked for it. Thanks, Mr. Dean.
Dwayne Danico Boyson, with dissertation, The Feasibility of Disseminating and Implementing Prolonged Exposure Therapy for Survivors of Trauma in South Africa, a mixed methods study, with supervision provided by Professor Ashraf Kahi. Anneliese de Wet, with dissertation, The Development of a Contextually Appropriate Measure of Individual Recovery for Mental Health Service Users in the South African Context, with supervision provided by Dr. Chrisma Pretorius.
Baie geluk.
Justina Samuel Komba, with dissertation, A Socioeconomic History of Coffee Production in Mbinga District, Tanzania, 1920 to 2015, with supervision provided by Dr. Anton Ellis. Esther Marie Kotze, dissertation, More Than Just Pretty Girls in Uniform, a historical study of women's military roles during World War II, 1939 to 1945, with supervision provided by Dr. Chet Franch. Lloyd Malusi Maposa, with dissertation, A Historical Analysis of Joint Stock Companies in the Cape Colony between 1892 and 1902, with supervision provided by Professor Johan Fourie.
Well done.
Sonia Christine Pasha, with dissertation, Attempted Suicide Among South African Adolescents Living in a Low-Resource Environment, Contested Meanings, Lived Experience, and Expressed Support Needs. Supervision provided by Professor Jason Bankus.
It's an honor to meet you.
Oh, lovely, thank you.
Johannes Stephanus Strauss, with dissertation, Die rol van immigrante van St. Helena Eiland in die Kaapse en Suid-Afrikaanse samelewing, met spesifieke verwysing na die periode 1808 tot 1908. Supervision provided by Professor Wessel Visser. Sandra Trotsky, with dissertation Van Homo na Sapiens, die evolusionêre rol van religie in die ontwikkeling van die mens. Supervision provided by Professor P.F. Crawford.
Baie geluk.
Lario Viljoen, with dissertation Linking Love and Health, Social Narratives of Sex, Intimacy and Love in the Context of Universal Testing and Treatment of HIV/AIDS. Supervision provided by Dr. L.J. Reynolds. Meneer die kanselier, ek versoek u om aan die kandidaate wie se name ook aan u voorgelê is, maar wat nie hier teenwoordig is nie, die onderskeie grade in hulle afwesigheid te verleen. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer the degrees on those candidates whose names have been presented to you but who could not attend in their absence.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Dankie meneer die dekaan. Ek verleen hiermee aan die kandidaate wie se name verskyn en wat dan die vereistes voldoen het, maar wat nie teenwoordig is nie, die onderskeie grade wat hulle verwerf het. I hereby confer in absentia the respective degrees on the persons listed in the graduation book who are not present but who have attained the qualifications. Thank you. I think you wanted to give the Dean a hand. And while we're giving extra applause, Professor Jan Fourie, waar is u? Sal u nie opstaan nie, asseblief? I've been told that he's produced a very interesting book in academic. Who is a newly minted doctor? Do you think it's a good book? Baie geluk met die boek. Ek sien uit om dit te lees, Professor Fourie. Dankie. I single out Professor Fourie not because he's the only professor present who is productive at Stellenbosch, but simply because it came to my attention and because the book intrigues me, the title and the subject and the economic history that he looks at, including the reliance on slavery in increasing the wealth of the Cape Colony, as I understand it. So I will be reading it, but ek doen dit ook omdat dit 'n aansporing is vir u. U word nou deel van 'n breër akademiese gemeenskap. You have graduated into a broader academic community, an academic community of intellectuals, of intellectual pursuit, and we desperately need you at this time. Ons land is in moeilike tye. Our country is in a difficult time. One of the forces ranged against our constitution are the forces of anti-intellectualism. Are there any clever blacks present? There was a former president who spoke disparagingly, dismissively of clever blacks who were critical of him. And I think that we have to assert the necessity for methodology, for research, for inquiry, and for output, for academic output. And that's why I singled out the learned professor. We vest that burden on you, on the new generation of the intellectuals, of the hyper-qualified. So, ons wens u almal geluk. Ons vra vir u ook om betrokke te bly in verbinding met Stellenbosch. There's a portal called martiesconnect.com. You can sign up to it and you can stay in touch with your friends, see job opportunities, see what is happening, stay in touch with your university as well. And I have another further very happy duty, which is to thank the people that I know you want to thank. Your loved ones, your parents, your friends, your sponsors, your donors. Am I right that each of you is here with the emotional and monetary generosity of other people? Am I right? Let's give them a round of applause as well. And now we have come to the end of this wonderfully happy and affirming proceeding. And again, I use the powers vested in me to declare that this congregation of the University of Stellenbosch is closed. Kragtens die magte in my gesetel verklaar ek hiermee dat hierdie kongregasie van die universiteit nou geslote is. Baie dankie. Ek vra vir u om te bly staan. Please remain standing while the procession leaves the stage.